Megalodon. The name alone sounds like something that swallows cargo ships for fun. And honestly, it probably could have. This shark stretched 18 meters, weighed 60 tons, and had a bite force of 180,000 newtons, enough to crush an SUV like a soda can. Its teeth were 18 centimeters each, basically combat knives with serrated edges. And it didn't hunt politely. It ambushed whales from below, removing entire sections like a circular saw through butter. Scientists found whale vertebrae with bite marks so clean they look photoshopped. But here's the twist. Megalodon didn't live with dinosaurs. Nope. It ruled 23 to 3 million years ago, long after the reptiles died. It dominated warm, shallow seas until ocean currents shifted, temperatures dropped, and its prey migrated to colder waters it couldn't follow. When Megalodon vanished, the ocean exhaled. But something even larger was walking on land. Argentinosaurus, the walking skyscraper. This titanosaur stretched over 30 meters long and weighed up to 100 tons. That's heavier than 2 fully loaded semi-trucks stacked together. Or if you prefer planes, it outweighs a 737-800 by 20 tons. Picture an animal so massive its heartbeat could probably be felt through the ground. It lived 95 million years ago in what's now Argentina, back when South America was a predator playground. And somehow, this gentle giant survived by being too big to kill. Its femur alone was taller than a grown man. Its neck stretched 12 meters, letting it browse treetops like a biological crane. Fossils show it moved in herds, which means the ground literally shook when they migrated. But despite its size, it wasn't invincible. Juvenile Argentinosaurus were menu items for Giganotosaurus packs. The adults? Untouchable. Too much meat, too much bone, too much risk. Evolution built it like a fortress on legs. But while the land had titans, the ocean was building nightmares. Mosasaurus, the apex predator that made Megalodon look patient. This 15-meter marine reptile wasn't a dinosaur. It was a roided-out monitor lizard that said, "Screw the land," and dove back into the ocean. Picture a crocodile designed by someone who hates mercy. It had a double-hinged jaw that could dislocate and swallow prey whole. Sometimes even other mosasaurs. Because when you're that big, cannibalism is just efficiency. It patrolled late Cretaceous seas 70 million years ago, ambushing fish, turtles, plesiosaurs, and anything dumb enough to surface. Fossils show bite marks on pterosaur wings. It was catching flying reptiles mid-dive. And yes, its ancestors crawled out of the ocean millions of years earlier, only for this thing to crawl right back in. Evolution has commitment issues, but Mosasaurus wasn't the largest landlubber ever. Paraceratherium, the giraffe rhino nobody asked for, but evolution delivered anyway. This mammal stood 5 meters tall at the shoulder and weighed 15 tons. The largest land mammal ever. Well, probably. Paleoloxodon pneumaticus wants a word about that heavyweight title, but Paraceratherium has the height advantage. No tusks, no armor, just height and neck. It lived 34 million years ago across Asia, browsing treetops like a biological wrecking ball. Imagine a rhino stretched vertically until it looked wrong. That's Paraceratherium. It didn't need to fight. It just needed to exist. Its size made it immune to every predator of its time. Even saber-toothed cats took one look and reconsidered their career choices. But despite ruling the Oligocene, it vanished when climates shifted and forests turned to grasslands. Turns out being tall is useless when the trees disappear. But while it dominated the ground, something owned the sky. Quetzalcoatlus. This pterosaur had a 10-meter wingspan, about the size of an F-16 fighter jet. It stood as tall as a giraffe when folded up, which is a sentence that shouldn't exist but does. It lived 68 million years ago during the late Cretaceous, soaring over dinosaurs like a leather-winged surveillance drone. But here's the kicker. It didn't just fly. It walked, on all fours, like a vampire bat the size of a small plane. Scientists believe it was a terrestrial stalker, folding its wings and hunting on foot, stabbing prey with a beak longer than a human arm. Imagine getting killed by an airplane that learned to walk. Yeah, the Cretaceous was unhinged. When the asteroid hit, Quetzalcoatlus vanished with the rest. But mammals weren't done trying. Columbian mammoth, the Ice Age tank that made woolly mammoths look portable. This beast stood 4 meters tall and weighed 10 tons, larger than any elephant alive today. It roamed North America 100,000 years ago, surviving freezing tundras with 5-meter curved tusks and a coat thick enough to insulate a small building. Unlike its woolly cousins up north, Columbian mammoths preferred temperate grasslands, grazing in massive herds that reshaped entire ecosystems. They didn't just survive the cold, they weaponized it. Fossils show juveniles huddled inside adult circles during storms, using their bodies as living windbreaks. But size wasn't enough. Humans showed up with spears, strategy, and persistence. By 10,000 years ago, they were gone. Hunted, outcompeted, climate shifted into extinction. Turns out being huge only works until something smarter shows up. But one creature made the mammoth look lightweight. Paraceratherium, the whale that rewrote the record books in 2023. The original study claimed this 20-meter marine mammal weighed up to 340 tons, heavier than a blue whale, heavier than anything ever measured. Except there's a problem. Physics exists. Revised studies in 2024 dropped that estimate to 60 to 110 tons because a 340-ton whale would sink like a concrete block. Its bones were absurdly dense, pachystotic, meaning they were thick, heavy, solid like ballast. Scientists think it lived 39 million years ago off the coast of Peru in shallow coastal waters, using its weight to stay submerged while grazing on seafloor vegetation or scavenging. It didn't hunt. It didn't need to. It just existed as a biological anchor. But here's the thing. We only have fragments. 13 vertebrae, 4 ribs, part of a hip. The full skeleton is still buried somewhere in Peruvian rock, which means even the revised estimates could be wrong. Either way, it proves something terrifying. We still don't know what the actual largest animal was. And while Paraceratherium floated like a barge, something older bit harder than physics allows. Dunkleosteus, the armored guillotine of the Devonian. For decades, scientists thought this fish was 10 meters long. Turns out they were wrong. Dead wrong. A 2023 reevaluation called the SOS study, small or short, shrunk it down to about 4.1 meters, basically the size of a really angry tuna. But don't let the downgrade fool you. This thing was built like a chunky linebacker with self-sharpening bone blades instead of teeth, like scissors made of skull. Its jaw could snap shut in 50 milliseconds with 6,000 newtons of force, fast enough to create a suction vortex that pulled prey into its mouth before the bite even connected. It didn't chew, it sheared. Fossils show it could bite clean through armored fish plating like aluminum foil. It lived 360 million years ago when fish ruled the planet and teeth were still a rough draft. Scientists think it was an apex predator that hunted sharks, other placoderms, and anything slow enough to regret it. But despite being a compact slaughterhouse, it went extinct when the Devonian seas collapsed. No descendants, no evolutionary heirs. Just fossils and bite marks. The African bush elephant, the largest land animal alive. Not the biggest ever, but the biggest now. Bulls can reach 6 tons, stand 4 meters tall, and carry tusks weighing over 100 kilograms each. That's more mass than most cars. But size is only part of the story. Elephants are intelligent, emotional, strategic. They remember droughts from decades past, mourn their dead, and communicate through infrasound, vibrations too low for humans to hear. Their trunks are masterpieces of evolution, containing roughly 150,000 individual muscle units, strong enough to uproot trees, delicate enough to pluck a single leaf. Yet despite their dominance, they're vulnerable. Poaching, habitat loss, and human expansion have pushed them to the edge. The giant that survived extinction now faces a new threat. Us. But giants aren't always what you expect. Sometimes they're bizarre. Sometimes they're nightmares wrapped in feathers and claws. Therizinosaurus, the dinosaur that looks like a mistake. Picture this, a body stretching nearly 10 meters long, taller than a T-Rex, but far lighter, maybe 5 tons at most. A tiny head, a pot belly, and claws nearly a meter long, not for hunting, for reaching. Therizinosaurus was a herbivore, a gentle giant armed like a slasher villain. Those claws weren't weapons of war. They were tools for pulling down branches, stripping leaves, and maybe, just maybe, scaring off predators dumb enough to try. It lived in late Cretaceous Mongolia, waddling through forests on thick pillar-like legs. Slow, awkward, absurd. And yet, it survived. Because sometimes being too weird to fight is better than being too weak to run. But even weirder giants existed. Not in the age of dinosaurs, but long after. In the age of ice and megafauna, when mammals grew enormous and evolution got creative. Megatherium, a sloth the size of an elephant. Yes, a sloth. The same family tree that gave us the slow, sleepy tree huggers of today once produced a 4-ton colossus. Stretching 6 meters from snout to tail, it could rear up on its hind legs to a height of nearly 4 meters. Claws like daggers. A reach that could strip an entire tree bare in minutes. It lived across South America until about 10,000 years ago, alongside humans who likely hunted it into extinction. Unlike modern sloths, Megatherium didn't climb. It didn't need to. It just stood up and pulled the trees down to its level. Efficient, terrifying, and proof that evolution doesn't follow expectations. It builds giants wherever it needs them. Land, sea, and even sky. Because some of the heaviest creatures to ever walk the earth weren't mammals or reptiles. They were birds. Aepyornis, the elephant bird. A creature so large it feels stolen from mythology. Standing 3 meters tall and weighing over 500 kilograms, it was the heaviest bird to ever exist. Flightless, slow, and built like a feathered tank. But the real shock? Its eggs. Each one weighed up to 10 kilograms, over 150 times larger than a chicken egg. Imagine cracking one open for breakfast. You'd feed a village. Aepyornis lived on Madagascar, isolated from predators for millions of years. No lions, no wolves, just endless forests and zero threats. Until humans arrived over 2,000 years ago. But the giant didn't vanish overnight. Elephant birds and humans coexisted for nearly a millennium before the birds finally disappeared around 1000 to 1200 AD. Hunted, their habitats destroyed, erased. A giant reduced to fragments and folklore. But Madagascar wasn't the only island hiding lost colossi. Across the ocean in Australia, something even stranger roamed the outback. Diprotodon, the wombat that forgot to stop growing. The largest marsupial in history, weighing 3 tons and stretching 3 meters long. Imagine a rhino-sized wombat with a nose like a tapir and feet built for digging. It grazed across Australia for over 1 million years, shaping ecosystems, carving paths through forests, living peacefully in a land of giants. Then, about 45,000 years ago, it vanished. Climate change, human hunting, or both. The debate continues. But the result is the same. Australia's megafauna collapsed. What remains are bones, cave paintings, and the knowledge that giants once ruled a land now dominated by smaller survivors. But not all giants fell quietly. Some left behind mysteries that still haunt paleontology. Deinotherium, the elephant that evolution designed backwards. Tusks that curved downward from the lower jaw, not upward like modern elephants. A design so strange, scientists are still debating what they were for. Digging? Stripping bark? Intimidation? No one knows. What we do know, Deinotherium was massive, 4 meters tall, 10 tons, roaming Europe, Asia, and Africa for over 20 million years. It thrived while other giants fell, adapted, survived, evolved. Then, around 1 million years ago, it vanished. No drama, no catastrophe. It just faded, like most giants do. Because that's the pattern. Rise, dominate, disappear. Whether by asteroid, climate, or competition, giants never last. Coming up next, every wolf type explained in 9 minutes. One species, many deadly adaptations. Please subscribe.